Hello everyone, Bard here, and welcome to a movie review tribute. Well, sadly, we have lost another great talent, and one who has entered the realms of being legendary. She's June Foray, and she's one of the first, or even best known, of the voice actresses. She's become the last of the survivors of the golden age of animation, and has voiced 1,000 characters that, whether being overrated, underrated, or nobody notices, has brought joy and inspiration to many animation and voiceover fans. And so today, in honor of her passing, it's time to look at the one movie where she's one of the many celebrities in it, and is only half of the voice talent. The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. The movie is based on the characters created by Jay Ward, who's also the creator of George of the Jungle, Dudley Do-Right, and Mr. Peabody and Sherman, each of which has been turned into feature-length films. It's 35 years since the Rocky and Bullwinkle show was cancelled, and Frostbite Falls had become a wasteland, with business being out, the trees of the forest being gone, and villains Fearless Leader, Boris Badenov, and Natasha Fatale still trying to conquer the world. But when things in their animated world of Pennsylvania won't work, the trio of bad guys head to the real world of Hollywood, where they get themselves out of animated TV and into live action as real people, with the magic of a movie contract. Yet, Fearless Leader plans to rule America by hypnotizing the country through awful TV shows, from a station he formed called RBTV, short for Really Bad Television, and to have everyone vote for him as the next President of the United States. So FBI Director Campy Von Trappment sends young agent Karen Sympathy to get Rocky and Bullwinkle to stop the villainous trio, and by using the green light from a studio lighthouse, she brings the two-dimensional characters into live action as three-dimensional characters, and the three of them head on the road from Los Angeles to New York to stop Fearless Leader before broadcasting his speech to a hypnotized nation. All while Boris and Natasha tried to stop Rocky and Bullwinkle from getting to New York, and while meeting numerous cameos and making many fourth-wall jokes. Now, for one thing, I don't see this as a bad movie, because there are some things to like in it. One thing that the film has going is the combination of live action and animation. Having Rocky and Bullwinkle as CGI characters make it sort of unique, even when the main villains are live action. It's almost as good as Roger Rabbit. Yet it's not as seamless, but it does fine. It's also interesting to hear these classic characters say things you don't expect, like the narrator swears at one point, and some of the puns and fourth wall jokes work. And the cameos in the film are fun to witness, even if pointless at times, and there are good moments thrown in, like Bullwinkle in cyberspace, the many cartoonish slapstick played out in live action, the taxi driver reference, the Roger Rabbit reference, and even the ideas behind some of the choices made are fine. Like the film being a live-action cartoon, half the cartoon stars are live action, while the other half is animated, bringing these characters to the real world and how they're removed. But that doesn't mean that everything about it is good, because there are plenty of downers as well. It has one too many ideas going on to make it fun. Yes, I had a fine time with this, but I think some of these ideas either have to be explored more or toned down, because it's almost overkill. And while having the movie be a live-action cartoon is okay, which has been done a few times before, it mostly becomes awkward and gets old after a while, with the constant fourth wall jokes, cartoon sound effects played out, and the visual cartoon gags thrown in. It becomes as awkward as Looney Tunes back in action, yet has the same amount of enjoyment. But the biggest issue for me with this film is how forgettable it becomes at times. I remember seeing it when it came out, and only a few things stood out for me to notice. Some of the lines aren't memorable, and some of the jokes don't work. But then again, I'm glad to see it, even for future viewings on DVD. And really, all the things that work make for a decent viewing. And the actors, both live action and animation, did a pretty fine job. Robert De Niro plays Fearless Leader, Rene Russo plays Natasha Fatale, Jason Alexander plays Boris Badenov, Piper Perabo plays Karen Sympathy, Randy Quaid plays Cappy Von Trappment, Janine Garofalo plays Minnie Mogul, James Rebhorn plays President Signoff, Keith Scott voices Bullwinkle J. Moose, cartoon Fearless Leader, cartoon Boris Badenov, and the narrator, and the late and great June Foray voices Rocket J. Squirrel, cartoon Natasha Fatale, and the narrator's mother. As a whole, this movie is fine. The characters are fine, the story is alright, the animation is fine, and the effects are fine too. Director Dennis McGann has made a decent film that is mostly a live-action cartoon with animation mixed into it. Though while it's forgettable at times and most of the jokes don't work, I simply have a lightness for it, seeing as I like Rocky and Bullwinkle and their show, and some of the ideas in the film are interesting and could have been used more. But with the film's intention of fourth wall jokes, stating the obvious, cartoon slapstick and humor, visual and verbal gags, and it all being one big joke, of it being a cartoon set in live action, it tends to become awkward and a bit stale, for an hour-and-a-half movie that is. Yet for all its faults, it's not half bad. It's fine enough. So today, this movie we give a rating of 3 stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, tune in next week for a new video, and June Foray, you will be missed. Well, now we go from a tribute of a great actress to a movie I saw in theaters, which is pretty bad. So, here it is, and I hope you enjoy it. It's time for another review of a movie I saw in theaters. It's the one movie that everyone hates ever since it was announced, and the result is... yeah, they're pretty much right. It's the latest from Sony Pictures Animation, the Emoji Movie. The story, with most of it taking place inside the phone of high school boy Alex, is about an emoji named Mel, who's a meh emoji with lots of emotions and tries to be a meh without screwing up. But when Alex sends a meh emoji to his love interest Abby, Mel screws up, causing Alex to send a weird emoji, and Mel, after destroying the hub for all emojis, runs away when Smiley, the very first emoji, tries to delete him for being a malfunction. So with an unused emoji named High Five, and a hacker emoji with a secret named Jailbait, Mel travels throughout Alex's phone to where he can only be a meh, all while Alex has plans to delete everything on his phone for embarrassing him at school and with Abby. And Mel's parents try to find their son, and Smiley sends out bots to destroy Mel. Director Tony Leonidas hasn't got what it takes to bring an idea that, in many ways, feels wrong and doesn't work. With characters that aren't interesting, a story that can't keep focus on what it's doing, an animation that, despite being colorful, visually creative, and has a couple of nice character designs, can't overshadow a plot with missing scenes, pointless detours, moments that go one way and then give up or retcon it, things that don't make sense on a technical or reality level, and an unbalanced focus between the phone world and our world, if that's what it is. And all coming from a studio that just doesn't care what the movie is, how it's made or promoted, as long as it does well. Though it's not the worst in my opinion, it's just pretty bad. Not to make a pun on this, but this movie is not only a meh movie, it's a disgraceful meh. So today I'm giving this movie a rating of 2 stars. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and tune in next week for a new video.